Hi, I'm Neil from Board Game Happy, and thank you very much for joining me today for a review of Bonsai from DV Games. The art of bonsai has always amazed me. I once tried to care for a bonsai, but it was obvious I was doing more harm than good, and I had to let it go to a new home before I killed it, and I'm glad to say it did flourish. Until now, I've satisfied my small tree enjoyment with the Lego equivalent. But all that's changed thanks to this purchase of Bonsai. This is a 1 to 4 player tile line game with set objectives, card drafting as the main mechanisms going on. Plays in about 20 to 40 minutes and sees players slowly building their bonsai trees to score the most points. Let me take down to the table, show you briefly how it plays. I won't give you every single rule, but I'll give you a good idea as to what the gameplay is like, and then I'll let you know my final thoughts. Okay, cheers! No need to rub your eyes and take a second look. Yes, bonsai does look this good on the table. Over the course of the game, you'll be constructing your bonsai with satisfying thick tiles, as demonstrated here, which fit together perfectly when placed on the table, as you'll see here, so on and so forth. Cards have a really lovely artwork on them and also are of a very, very good quality. Really happy with them. Special mention to the pots. They are gorgeous. The way they are coloured, the way they're painted, gives them a really old and used feel. I love this gold repair to the crack here in the pot. Fantastic. The rules are well written, great illustrations, good examples of gameplay. The game box feels lovely and luxurious. Overall, in terms of value for money, what you're getting here, gameplay-wise, component-wise, for the price you're paying for Bonsai, this is pretty good stuff. So, the core game is a drafting mechanism. You're going to be placing cards here, 4 cards, regardless of the number of players. I've shown you a 1-player setup, but effectively in a 2, 3 or 4-player game, the players would just have their pots off to the side as well. So you're going to be drafting cards. Whilst you draft cards, you will be able to take special benefits from that. If you draft cards from these positions, you'll be able to bring down these extra things. So for example, if I draft a card here, I would get a wood and a flower. Now, there are a few different cards in the game, so I'm going to show you a couple of examples of some of the cards. So this is a growth card, and what you need this for is when you draft one of these, you'll place it in your tableau here. I'll explain what that does in a minute. This is a scoring multiplier. At the end of the game, this will give you 2 points for each one of these types of cards you have, so you would put that face down. This is one of those types of cards. When you take this gentleman here, not only do you get to take the benefit from where he is, such as if you took it from there, you get those 2. You'd also get the 2 that are on the card as well. And once again, that goes face down there. This is the same for the yellow guys. And what the yellow guys allow you to do when you draft them, when you draft the yellow guy, he allows you to put up from your general supply 1 wild and 1 fruit. There are other examples of that. And finally, there's this tools card, which sits to the right here. And I'll explain what this does now. At the beginning of the game, you will only have this in your possession. This allows you to store 5 tiles at a maximum by the end of your turn, and if you've got more than 5, you have to discard some. It also allows you, when you do the second action, well, I'll explain in a minute, to build these 3 tiles. So 1 specific green, 1 brown, and 1 wild. So what these 2 allow you to do is this allows you to hold more, so you could hold 7 if you had that. And then if you had this one here, when you build, which is the second action, you'd be able to build 2 greens. So at the beginning of the game, we're going to shuffle up. And we're going to lay out 4 cards. Then in turn order, players will either draft the card, taking the benefits of that, or do the second action, which is to build your tree. So let's say, for example, I already had this in my supply and I decided that I wanted to do a build action. Couple of simple rules. Wood must always touch one other wood on one side. So that would be valid. That would be valid also. Green leaves must touch wood on one side where this wood little bit is in the corner there. So I could place it there, I could place it there, I could place it there. Rules for flowers. Flowers must touch green. I'll explain scoring in a minute. And finally, rules for fruit. Just place these here because fruit must go in between two greens like that. So the way you're going to keep on doing that, you're going to draft down a card on your turn. You'll draft down a card, take the benefits from that card, shuffle these along, turn over the next one. Players will just keep on doing that. You'll either drafting a card or building. At the end of the game, which is triggered when the last card from the deck is taken, players will then score. You'll have one final go and you'll score. You're going to score 3 points for each green leaf in your bonsai. You're going to score 7 points for each fruit that is not next to another fruit. You cannot have another fruit directly next to it. And for flowers, you're going to score 1 point for each empty space on these 5 sides. So each flower could be worth a maximum of 5 points. You're also going to score for any of these types of cards that you've got face down in front of you, and you're obviously going to score them. If I had that one and this was my final tree, by the way, that would be a terrible tree if that was my final tree. That would give me 2 points because I've got 1 fruit. And the last thing you're doing is you're working towards these objectives over here. So there are 5 objectives in the game, and we take out 3 in each game, and we place them here for everyone to look at. As soon as a player has achieved one of the requirements, so this one here, the basic requirement for wood is to have 8, or the extended requirement, this is a 2-player game, that's why there's only 2 out, is to have 12. As soon as you have 8, you have to decide, am I going to claim that? If you choose not to claim it, you cannot go back later on and claim it. So it's a little bit of push your luck. But let's say, for example, I claimed this one, this one, and this one. That would mean I would have had 3 fruits, 5 flowers, and 8 wood. If I had achieved all of those, then I would then get those points for them. And that is basically how you play Bonsai very, very quickly. There's not much more to explain. There is a solo mode which acts pretty similarly to the 2 to 4 player game, but there are some solo scenarios which are super fun. Anyway, that's how you play Bonsai. So I hope that quick gameplay overview gave you a feel for Bonsai, and just thought I'd give you some of my final thoughts. I think this fits perfectly in my collection. It's got quick gameplay, simple rules, and amazing table presence. The theme feels wonderfully intertwined with the gameplay. However, don't let the calming nature of the trees relax you too much, as the game is quick. Scoring goals are hard to achieve, and every decision you make is important. I can't review Bonsai without constantly referring to how good it looks on the table. Each tile you place in your tree gives you a sense of excitement as you build your tree towards those goals. I love how each tree I've ever built on this game always looks different. Everyone's trees look different when you finish at the end of the game, and the free-flowing way in which you're allowed to place most of the tiles makes for a really interesting game. I'm in slightly 2 minds about the length of the game. I really enjoy the quick gameplay. However, it sometimes feels too quick, and the ending can happen quite abruptly. So you're watching the deck of cards to see when it's getting lower and lower, but it always feels 1 or 2 turns too short. I wish there was maybe 1 or 2 more goes. I know some people would say, well, that's the sign of a good game, that you want more. It's not necessarily that I want more, although I do. It's just I always feel as though to get the absolute maximum points possible that I could possibly do, 1 more go, 2 more goes would have been satisfying, especially for those gold tiles. Talking of which, the gold tiles, there are 5 included in the game. I would say that it's a bit of a shame that there aren't more. I find the interesting one to be the one where you're trying to get your tree both underneath the pot and over the other side, on the other side of the pot, and it makes for some weird and wonderful looking trees. Some of the others, which are just basically collect this amount of wood or collect this amount of leaves and so on and so forth, they're fine. I just wish there'd been more in the box that you could mix up, and it would just change the game up in between turns. The solo mode is a really fun addition to the game. It gives you a really good idea as to how the game plays, so it's a good way of learning the game first before you teach other people. I would say that the scenarios are where the fun is in the solo mode, and they're definitely worth, if you're a solo player, they're definitely worth a play. But yeah, overall, I find Bonsai to be really charming, relaxing despite the stress, and a really fun game to play. I definitely recommend it to fans of games such as My Shelfie, Kohaku, Kanagawa. Pretty good examples of that same kind of quick 20 to 30 minute gameplay, great table presence, simple rules, yet there's definitely something there. Your decisions matter. Like I said about the rules, really easy to learn. Great rule book. Once again, I'll just point that out. Really great rule book. So yeah, that was my review of Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, I'm now going to go off and tend to my trees. These ones I definitely cannot kill. All right. Cheers.